Well, thank you all for joining us this morning. So we will go ahead and get started. We're waiting on another one of our speakers, but we're excited to host our fall kickoff back into the Fikas. Thank you everyone for joining us, those who were before we took our summer semester, to allow our Swedish guests to enjoy their time off, and hopefully everyone else got a chance to enjoy the summer. It's amazing how fast it goes. My name is Alex Fox. I am the Executive Director of the Swedish Historical Society in Rockford, and I am very excited to welcome a few of our guests this morning. And so it's my privilege to introduce who you may already know, our Swedish Ambassador, Linnea Bengtsson. And she will go ahead and introduce and be running the meeting this morning. Thanks, Linnea.
Thank you, Alex, very much. And so nice to see all of you again. Raining weather greetings from Skövde, Sweden. It's pouring down here right now, but we have had a wonderful summer weather-wise and a beautiful fall so far. So really good things. I know Emma is coming to join us in a few minutes here as well. I wanted to give you a few updates from Sweden. So the restrictions in Sweden are about to sort of disappear at the end of this month. We are still, till the end of the month, being encouraged to work from home and keep our distance, of course, and get vaccinated. But starting October 1st or end of September, we are allowed to go back to more of a normal situation, which will be nice, of course, for many of us. I think work-wise too, it will stay kind of hybrid, do some meetings digital and do some meetings in person. So a lot of good things came obviously from this tough period as well. So our guest of honor, I think we will go ahead with Christian and then have Emma come in later and introduce herself. I only met Christian one time a few months ago. I work now in Tidaholm, and that's where Christian works as well. He will tell him about himself. But it's so good to see all of you. And I will start with the first question to Christian. Who is Christian Hedlund?
All right. Just before I answer that question, hello everybody. Nice to meet you. Very interesting to be part of this kind of forum. I am 45 years old, which means that I'm closer to 50 now than 40, so now I usually say that I'm 40-ish when people ask me how old I am. I was born and raised here in the middle of Sweden, near to the town where Linnea is working. I have a wife and two kids, a son 14 years old and a daughter 10 years old. And our biggest interest in the family is football, or I think you call it soccer in US. According to me, that is the biggest interest in our family. If you ask my wife, she will probably say something else, but that's how it is. Professionally, I have always liked working with management, working with people, and that was also introduced to me when I was in the military. So I've both a military and a civilian degree, and I've been going back and forth between the military and also manufacturing industries. So I've done some missions in the military abroad, and also actually served together with US troops somewhere in the world. I will not tell you where. But even though I enjoyed serving with the Swedish Armed Forces, I really need to realize and understand that I am actually a production nerd. So I have worked with both Volvo trucks and Volvo cars, which are huge production companies. And now I work for a smaller company in Tidaholm, where Linnea works, for a company named Domestic Tidaholm, and I will come back to that a little bit later. And my wife, at one time, she said, when I changed my career realized that I belonged in production, she said, well, now you're going from being a mean machine in the military to being a lean machine in the manufacturing industries, since I'm a sucker for lean philosophy. So I think that's pretty much who I am.
Perfect, thank you. And you started to talk a little bit about it, but I will ask you to tell us more about your work and perhaps an overview about Dometic as well.
Yeah, I'm a managing director for a company named, as I said before, Domestic Tidaholm, and we are acquired by a big group that is called Domestic Group. And Domestic Group is a worldwide company, and we are facilitating and stimulating people's interest to go into the nature through either RV or motorhome or caravans and so on. And in my factory, we produce all the windows and panes for RVs and motorhomes within Dometic customer base. So approximately 4,500 windows we produce in this factory each day. So we have a pretty high demand right now. And we are, based on that, right in the middle of a capacity increase project. So the future here will be very exciting in order to handle that project.
Very good. We can mention too that the one time, so for only time Christian and I met was maybe 2 months ago when the German ambassador to Sweden, Dr. Anna Prinz, made a visit to Tidaholm, which was quite amazing. And Christian greeted us at Dometic because Dometic has a German connection as well. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that. And also if you can tell us a little bit about the size of the company Tidaholm in terms of how many employees and yes.
It's my company's process industry. So we work with, it's like we usually call it, it's a living material. It's a plastic. I will not talk about the chemical description of the material, but it's some kind of plastic, and it's about 210 employees right now, and we're aiming for about 260, 270 when we are fully up in capacity due to capacity increase project. And most of our customers are down in Germany, either a company within the Dometic Group as an intercompany manufacturing chain, or they are our direct customers like Knaus, Tabet, or other companies down in Germany. And as I said before, it's for motorhomes, recreational vehicles, RVs, or caravans. So, since the pandemic situation where these products are used a lot, so we have a high demand right now, and it will be a little bit increased next year, but we have gained a lot of new customers that have found the charm in going out in vacation in a motorhome.
Yes, staycation has been very popular, I think, everywhere, especially in Sweden. And the Tidaholm area is very beautiful here. So it's very common in Sweden now that you take your caravan and drive, and it's really growing interest, especially for retired people that are, it's, and also how we work together, that Dometic has been very generous and very good at taking on employees in Tidaholm that maybe are being laid off or looking for a career change. So Dometic is a very appreciated partner in Tidaholm in many ways. So that's very nice. Can you tell us if you have been to Rockford, Illinois? And if you have, please tell us if yes. And if you have not, can you tell us about somewhere else in the United States you might have been?
Unfortunately, I have missed Rockford. But now I have a new interest in Rockford, so maybe I will visit next time I'm in the US. But I've been in other places in US, Detroit, of course, since it's one of the centers for personal vehicles development and so on. So, and also Washington, New York, Hagerstown, where we have the Volvo truck plant. Florida, and that is for vacation purpose. And also California, because we had some tech centers there when I was at R&D Volvo cars. So I've been in a few places in the US. I like it. It's very easy to interact with people in the US wherever you go. So that's something that I really appreciate.
That's very nice. And you already got a welcome here from Ron Gustafsson on your chat box here to welcome you to Rockford. So that's very good. And I think before we move on to the final question, I will have Emma Korjonen introduce herself, and she will also be a good person for you to get to know when you do travel to Rockford. But Emma, please go ahead and tell us about you.
Yes, hi. Sorry for being late. My Zoom needed an update, so I missed the beginning. But hi, my name is Emma Korjonen, and I work as an international business developer for the city of Lidköping and the county of Skaraborg. And so I'm in charge of the partnership between Skaraborg and Rockford. So Christian, if you're going to Rockford, then please let me know, and all the kind people here will assist me to make your stay there the best you can.
Perfect.
Very good. Maybe we will take some of the questions at the end there, but I will ask you, Christian, can you please share with us a quote that you like, and can you please tell us first in Swedish and then in English?
Yeah, regarding the quote, this is actually a quote that I made up for myself, which I have been using a lot, both in the military and both in production, because it started when I was training rangers in a military regiment, and I very often ended my orders that their tasks should be carried out with joy and rhythm over time. In Swedish, glädje och rytmik över tiden. That means that you should always like what you work with, and you should do it by following the certain methods. And there are always methods and regulations and standards work defined for the work that you're supposed to do. So that's how you create joy and rhythm over time. So I use that a lot.
That's very good. I've never heard that before. That's very good. Very true. And I will encourage
you will hear that since we're going to work together. So.
Yes, perfect. That's good. That's good. And if you have more questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. And speaking of rhythm, of course, we have to mention ABBA, the big comeback. I mean, oh my goodness, I'm kind of still in shock. I never thought that was going to happen, actually. So, yes, in my lifetime, I get to experience ABBA. That's amazing. I mean, such a Swedish pride, of course, but just amazing. I think that they are, and they sound so good. So good rhythm and good joy there. So, a question from Dan Morgan. The demand for RVs is very high in the US. Are you worried that demand will slow down in Sweden and Europe?
Not really right now. If we look at the forecast for the following year, we have still very high volumes. Of the things that worry me right now is the situation in the world in terms of raw material for different products that we use. So that is right now disturbing our customers, that they can't produce their RVs, for example, since they don't get components from their sub-suppliers. So my operations are going pretty well, but I'm a little bit worried about our customers.
A question from Anna Patel, who's the Consul General in Chicago. How do you work with sustainability?
I didn't really hear the beginning of the question there.
So it's a question from Chicago to Tidaholm. How do you work with sustainability?
Not enough, according to me. I've initiated some projects in order to both improve our processes, but also the knowledge on how to work with sustainability, because it's important since we are working with plastic material. About 80% of the waste when we produce our windows are going back to our sub-suppliers of the raw material for plastics. That's one initiative that we're working with, but the rest of 20%, we're trying to find good solutions for how to reuse that in a better way than that we're doing right now. So we're not there yet to call us world class, but we have started initiatives because it's important.
Good, a very good question. Do people in Sweden rent our RVs, or we mostly? I will have you answer.
If they rent RVs, yeah, that it started to be more common that you can rent an RV just for a limited time during your vacation. So it's increasing that kind of market, but the market have also changed in what kind of size of RV you are renting, because earlier it was popular to have very big RVs, which should almost be bigger than your home, since you're going to go on vacation. But now there's a new concept called panel van, and that is more smaller, flexible RVs that are growing insanely big in Europe right now, and our products are also used in that, of course. So I think the renting business will increase, but it will be a change in what kind of RV that you're renting.
Interesting, thank you. We talked a little bit about the fact that Domestic is taking on employees from other companies in Tidaholm, but the question is, do you have trouble finding qualified employees?
Yeah, that is always a challenge, to find both the skills, experience, but also the personalities in people that you want to add in your team. So right now we are having a recruitment campaign ongoing with, for example, health and safety engineer. That is a pretty narrow competence, and that kind of employee is pretty hard to find. Otherwise, since we're working very hard with trying to be a good employer, we haven't experienced any problems yet, but we are kicking off initiatives even there to improve our, shall I say, how we are considered as an employer. And hopefully that will get results in the future.
Good. And this is probably towards your private life expertise. Do you think Sweden will make it to the World Cup next year?
Of course. Because they will solve it with joy and rhythm over time.
Very well said. Very well said.
I can also add that during one of my visits to California, we visited some friends. So it was over 4th of July. So me and my son, we managed to get tickets to a game with LA Galaxy, one of the big teams in Los Angeles, when they were playing against the Seattle. It was the two top teams. And that was during the time when Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the best Swedish player ever, played with LA Galaxy. And LA Galaxy won 2-0, and Zlatan scored both of the goals. So that was very good 4th of July.
That sounds perfect. Yes. Samba soccer. Yes, of course. That would be very good. I can mention too that save the date for October 7th. We will have our next Fika, and then on November 18th, and then the final one on December 2nd. So I'm sure we will post this on Facebook too, but please go ahead and keep those dates in mind. So with that, I want to say a big thank you, Christian, for meeting with me the second time in your life so far on this and doing with our international friends. And thank you everyone for taking the time to be part of this Fika. Thank you to Emma. And I will hand it over to Alex if there's any more updates from Swedish Historical. But otherwise, thank you also very much for being here today. Alex, over to you.
Thank you again. Please do follow us if you're not already on Facebook. If you do not do Facebook, feel free to send us your email in the chat box, and we'll give you an email to when the next Fika is and when this is posted. We do post all of our Fikas through our website if you'd like to go back, see some of our other Swedish guests. But Christian, thank you so much for being here and giving us your time today. And absolutely connect with Emma and myself. We'd love to host you in Rockford. We've got a big history in manufacturing and still a very strong one. So we would love to have you in Rockford. And and I know Mr. Richard Brinchison may be one of your hosts as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.